We might think of a lot of the images of God through the Old Testament, which are very warrior sort of images. And how did that relate to women's experience? When women are the ones who are at the bottom of the mountain, not at the top of it. They're the ones who are looking after the children, who are caring for the aged, who are busily making the food so that everybody else can keep going. You can see why there was this longing to find a figure who was like them, like us. As the church's influence grew, it was easy to find images that picked this up. Throughout Europe, for example, there were many images of a goddess figure with an infant on her lap, and it was easy to, pop a circle around the head and there you have Mary. And the sense of the motherhood, the sense of the one who nurtures and holds, was something that women in particular could really strongly relate to. In feudal times, when there was this very definite sort of pyramid structure with the lord at the top and most of us were sort of around the bottom in the peasantry somewhere, if you couldn't get anywhere near the Lord, you could speak to Our Lady, the woman who was maybe the softened effect, the one who would give out food and clothing and medicine and look after the peasants. And so it's easy to imagine how Mary becomes Our Lady, the one who is relatable. Praying with rosary beads starts to come in because people are, I want to say illegible. You know what I mean, not illegible. People are illiterate, that's the one, illiterate. And to remember prayers that go with each bead is a way of a prayer discipline that's very accessible to ordinary people. During the Middle Ages, infant mortality, very, very high. It was of great comfort to women to think of Queen of Heaven, the woman who would mother all of their dead children who had gone to heaven. And so there are many images that come to that stage, from that stage of this queen figure surrounded by small children. It's easy to see, I think, why the figure of Mary becomes such a strong connector with people. As the one who intercedes for, if I am too humble and too small to catch the ear of God, maybe this woman will hear me and intercede for me. And so there is this special place that Mary takes up in the life and the hearts and the hopes of the poor and the humble. Around the world, the stories of appearances that Mary has had that have led to various grottos and things like that were all to humble peasant girls. So again, this person who speaks for the humble, the illiterate, those who don't have their own voice. So where do we place Mary? What do we do with all of this? We can be quite uncomfortable about it because it takes us somewhere we don't want to go. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who was the editor of the Women's Bible, the first Women's Bible many, many years ago, said, well, at least Catholics had one strong female model, whereas Protestants don't have any, which is not a bad thought to hold in our minds. So while we might think of Mary as possibly a little bit too Catholic, there is something about this figure. One of the things that maybe we've had problems about is, and certainly a number of my Catholic friends have, is that she's been used to elevate motherhood as the only right thing that women should be doing. And so they felt uncomfortable with that. It's very hard to think of this young Mary as being part of such a belief system. And it's a very patriarchal belief system. So what would Mary herself have to say to us about that, I wonder? Maybe just for a little while you might like to think about some of these images. We've got strong, protective mother, powerful woman ruler, Our Lady, Queen of Heaven, grieving mother. Do any of these images resonate with you? Or are there other images that you feel repelled by or attracted to that you might like to talk about for a little while?